Well, Antonia, we know each other for a long time.
Indeed.
And,
Hi, Margreet.
yeah, and you were always the person who was in the background, but always there. So boarding members uh, were going and coming, and but you were there. So that's was such well a good thing that you were always there, and you have been in the ISPS for a long time. Before I was in the ISPS. How long are you in the ISPS?
I have been involved with ISPS for nearly 20, it's about 20 years, I think.
Yeah,
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 quite long.
yeah, yeah. And you are a psychologist, I understand,
Yes.
and you are practicing also.
Well, I'm also doing some teaching at higher
Uh-huh.
education, and
Hmm.
I've done some research over the years. I've got my PhD since, before I started with ISPS. I wasn't doing my PhD, but I did get my PhD in those years,
Okay.
and have done some research and some teaching, and but not practicing as a psychologist.
Mhm. And you did some teaching, you did some research. What was the
Yeah,
subject?
it was about the psychosocial aspects of childcare, and I did a comparison between Greece and England.
Oh,
And
okay.
so social psychology sort of
Okay.
topic, really.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's my strongest interest, really, social psychology and developmental and related kind of areas.
Okay. Yeah. So that's why you also interested in the social and psychological approaches of for psychosis.
Yeah, indeed. It's been a good link, or a good bridge, actually.
Yeah.
Seeing how psychosocial approaches have grown in popularity, shall we say, over the last 15 years or so,
Yeah.
in many countries
Yeah.
around the world, I feel.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
So, and it started in a way that maybe a lot of people don't know, a lot of members maybe don't know, or even current EC members don't perhaps remember that actually my involvement with ISPS started all those years ago with ISPS UK, because at the time I was living in the UK, and they were looking for just a little bit of admin support. I think it was an advert for 5 hours a week, work from home in the beginning.
Okay.
And so I worked with them in the beginning, and then I moved to Greece for personal reasons. My husband is Greek, and that's when I started getting involved with the international organization. And so the organization and the role kind of grew with me and my experience, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yes, it's essentially 1 day a week, but of course, lots of other things going on in between.
Yeah, yeah, of course. And when there is a conference, you are helping a lot too. So you have work for more.
I love attending the conferences and meeting members, and of course, it's really invigorating and energizing for all members of the association, as well as the executive committee and so on. Yes, I'm involved a little bit with helping out with the planning and so on, but there is, as you well know, always a local committee that takes the main weight with the conference organizing.
Yes.
And the EC and I are in the background advising and guiding and helping, but the recent conference in Perugia, for example, the local planning team, can take all the credit for pulling off such a good event, don't you think?
Yeah, I remember from Rotterdam that you were linking or what we did to the history. You have you were well, you know so much about the history of ISPS, and so we profit a lot of your experience. I remember.
I'm glad to hear that. There is definitely a lot of traditions and habits and information held in the organization that's not formally written down in, you know, policy always, and it's tradition that's passed down through the executive committee members.
Yeah.
And of course, when there's a big change in the EC, some of that tradition or the reason why things are done the way they're done could get lost without a consistent, you know, support from one person. So I'm happy I've been able to be that link or bridge linking person between the different ECs over the years.
Yeah. So when you would move to Africa, for instance, it would be disaster for the ISPS.
Well, perhaps it could be an opportunity for ISPS to expand to Africa.
Yeah, that's always a crisis can also have a good outcome. But yeah, but you are a very stabilizing factor in ISPS.
I'm glad to hear that. I think ISPS has been a stabilizing factor on me as well. I think it goes both ways. All the EC members and many of the other members that I meet regularly every couple of years at the conferences, they, you know, I feel that I know them well, a lot of them, and yeah, it feels like a big family, really, doesn't it? ISPS, I think the EC feel that, and I do as well. It's been a very positive collaboration over the years. But there are definitely things we can think about expanding in the future, aren't there? Now that you mentioned Africa, it would be good for ISPS to expand to different parts.
I think so. We can learn a lot of the African people, I think.
I think so, and I think there's a lot that that can be shared both ways, as you say, with other parts of the world. ISPS is mainly active in Europe and, well, Western countries, North America and so on, and it would be it's been talked about a lot, and there's been several attempts during the years I've been with ISPS to expand to other parts of the world, some more successful than others for a wide variety of reasons, but perhaps this is an important focus for the future for the organization.
Yes, it is, yes. And well, it's mainly a wide organization. I mean, sometimes we try, but it's till now.
We certainly have tried, haven't we? Quite a lot the last 5 years or so, especially. I think since the Liverpool UK conference, there's been a lot of talk within the regional networks as well as the national organization about how to be more inclusive and more diverse as an organization. There have been lots of attempts, and some have been successful, but there's surely a lot more work to be done. Speaking of demographics, it's interesting. I've noticed since I've been involved with ISPS that the EC members themselves, there's been quite a dramatic change. In the beginning, it was almost all men, older white men, and there's a lot more women. The last EC, you know yourself, Margreet, in 2019, only one man was elected onto the EC. Everybody else female. So that's an interesting change, but there's other kinds of diversity that no doubt we need to and want to be working on as well.
And I've experienced a change that people with lived experience were part of the board, and also people with family members. Absolutely.
I think those are probably the two most important changes that the organization has seen, aren't they, over the last, well, at least 10 plus years.
We need a lot of involvement from people from other continents, like Africa and Asia, and, Australia.
One of the reasons I've stayed with ISPS, continued this collaboration over the years, no doubt, is Brian Martindale. He interviewed me all those years ago. He was the chair of the UK organisation, together with a couple of other people, and I know he's a very influential figure for many members and committee members. He's had a big influence on me. He's a wonderful leader and valued colleague and so on. So I think the relationships you form are so important as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's sometimes persons are so important, they make the difference.
Yeah. And there are so many good people in ISPS, the
Yeah,
team members and the
yeah,
members at large.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
think that's what people feel and experience when they come to our conferences.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, I think so, yes.
it's an organization of people who really care and
Yeah,
really have a lot of knowledge and skills,
yeah,
but also they really care and want to make a change in the world. And
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. And in the Netherlands, when we organized the Rotterdam conference, we get the feedback, well, you are not scientific, but you are so very nice people. So there is a lot of sympathy. So people know from their guts that we do good things.
Mm. Other changes that I have observed and experienced with the organization over the years would probably be a focus on a broader range of approaches to psychosocial approaches to psychosis has definitely occurred in the last 10 years or so. There were a lot of psychotherapists and psychiatrists and psychologists in the beginning, and I think now more social workers, arts therapists, yeah, a little bit more of a broad kind of membership and reaching more people, which overall I believe is a good thing, but sometimes it might be a source of tension or disagreement.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so that's something that has happened, and I think you mentioned demographics before. We do have a lot of members who are older and more established in their careers, and that's a demographic trend that perhaps the organisation needs to think more about as well, how to reach more. We are reaching quite a few, but we probably would like to reach more students and early career professionals, and that's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah,
because they'll be the next generation, won't they?
Yeah. Well, I heard a lecture on generations, and the person said that old people get very much put along with the young people because so maybe
There's a lot to be learned,
there's a lot to be learned. Yeah.
A lot of sharing of skills and information that can take place within the organization, and not just at the conferences. You asked about changes over the years, and actually it occurs to me another important change probably is that there is a lot more going on in terms of communication and contact with members between the conferences nowadays, whereas 10 years plus ago, it was mainly about planning for and holding conferences, I would say, not exclusively, but there was more of that in the past, and now there's more subcommittees and webinars, and the book series has expanded greatly. There's a lot more resources and a lot of different focus groups and so on, I think, now compared to in the past within the organization.
So that's good.
Diverse. One idea that I think is quite important is to focus on the education side of things, I guess, and reaching students, mental health professionals in training, and I guess the teachers in higher education and so on. I'm not sure that's happening in a lot of countries.
So perhaps develop courses, because ISPS didn't do that.
No, perhaps. Yeah, maybe mentoring, more formal mentoring opportunities within the organisation to help that sort of two-way transfer of knowledge you've mentioned from the more established we've got some, very well established, very experienced and senior people in the organization who I imagine that the younger professionals would love to connect with, not just at conferences.
Well, are there things you want to say, the important things you want to give us, Antonia?
Oh,
Yeah,
just
the end.
just to say thanks really to everybody who I've enjoyed collaborating with and will continue to do so. And yeah, let's all keep up the good work.
Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you very much for what you do for the ISPS. Yeah, and again, you are a stabilizing figure. So you are connection with the past and the future. So thank you so much.
So are you, Margreet.
Yeah.
And thank you for interviewing me. I've enjoyed the experience.
Okay.
And I hope it's helpful
Okay.
in various ways.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.